Have you ever arrived at the end of a puzzle and realized that the last piece just doesn't fit like it should? Sully! We've got a crazy one for you today, so stay with us, because if this theory is true, it'll change the way you see the Cosmere forever. Okay, maybe that's a little dramatic. Be prepared for spoilers for both Mistborn Era 1 and 2. Now let's recap the history of our favorite terroristmen.
I am, unfortunately, the hero of ages.
It's no secret to any fans of the Mistborn series that Harmony is kind of strange. And of course he is. Sazed was a strange man his whole life. He lived as a terroristman under the Lord Ruler's tyrannical regime as a vigilante keeper, an organization of secret Feruchemist historians. Sazed had watched the near eradication of his entire people through selective breeding. He would go on to witness the despair across the new empire as he tried, and often failed, to provide aid for the common people. Tindwyl, the terrorist woman, came into his life, becoming the first and only woman he would love. It's only fitting that he would find his soulmate's lifeless body during the Battle of Luthadel. The final nail in the coffin was when Vin and Ellen learned that they could have controlled the Koloss with their allomancy, preventing the death of his friends and lover. Ouch. If it's any consolation, at least he's now a semi-immortal being of immense power. If you aren't aware of the shards already, well, you've got a lot of catching up to do. But here's a brief refresher. Essentially, each shard is a piece of the incredibly vast and powerful god once known as Adonalsium. Each of the shards are one aspect of that god's intent. Honor, ambition, and mercy are just a few of the many different intents that once made up the greater deity. The two shards important to us today, however, are Ruin and Preservation. These shards are the two that created Scadrial and its inhabitants. Ruin is the intent to destroy and eliminate, while Preservation is the intent to keep all life preserved without change or progression. So Ruin ruins and Preservation preserves. If you think neither of those were good in isolation, they weren't. Preservation acted as the good god and Ruin the evil god for the later half of Era 1, until both of their vessels were destroyed and the powers were taken up by Sazed. The worst intentions of these shards were cancelled out and they became the single shard, now named Harmony. As a god, Sazed was able to use the knowledge of his copper mines to tap into the best ideas of all historic societies, reforming Scadrial to provide the perfect living conditions for his people. The people were safe and all was perfect for 300 years. Or was it? While the Elendel Basin may seem great on paper, we know that things aren't perfect now on Scadrial.
Harmony had made the basin ferociously fecund. Men didn't farm here so much as fight to harvest quickly enough.
In Mistborn Era 2, books 4 through 7, we meet Wax and Wane, gunslinging lawman vigilantes who operate above the law to protect Elendel from itself. But why would they need to protect Elendel from itself if Harmony presides over this perfect world? Well, it turns out that Harmony thinks he has helped the humans too much. He admits to this in Shadows of Self, saying that his changes to perfect Scadrial prevented its people from progressing. Don't tell cultivation. If Harmony's intent is equilibrium, then why is Scadrial so chaotic? The Elendel Basin maintains disproportionate wealth on Scadrial. There's hunger and homelessness everywhere. We see outlaws and corrupt constables. There are murderers, religious zealots. Where's the harmony?
He shall defend their ways, yet shall violate them. He will be their savior, yet they shall call him heretic. His name shall be Discord, yet they shall love him for it.
Here's the big theory. Harmony isn't real. Sure, Sazed's real. He even holds the intent of both Ruin and Preservation. That's all true, but I think Sazed was wrong when he called himself Harmony. He's actually Discord. Harmony is defined as the quality of forming a pleasing and consistent whole. I do think it's fair that Sazed thought he could create harmony on Scadrial, but I'm not sure it's actually possible. Vin discovered that the two shards, when independent, were so opposed to each other that one couldn't act on Scadrial without approval from the other, which almost never happened. Now, Discord, on the other hand, is defined as a lack of agreement or harmony. Ironic. Now, which one sounds more like the current Sazed?
I am finding that the powers I hold are in such conflict that the most simple of actions can be difficult.
Everything Harmony seeks to do on Scadrial drives discord among his people. He allows an avatar of the Shard autonomy to foster a religious coalition in his world. This avatar, Trell, gathers an army in the cognitive realm, while Sazed can't even explain the threat to his own followers. He makes crops grow too abundantly in the basin, which drives a wedge between the lower and upper classes as prices go down. He allows for a divide to grow between northern and southern Scadrial. Anything he could have done to prevent discord on the planet was impossible for him. It became so bad that he had to manipulate Waxilium Galadriel into becoming his sword so that he may act through the lawman. Even in this, he almost drives Wax to impotence with grief, as he can't even harmoniously convince someone to serve him. Sazed is starting to feel the control over his powers, and it does not feel like Harmony, but instead he finds a dark shadow following him. That shadow is Discord, and it was foretold all the way back in Book 3. The ominous shadow may be Harmony's future, or it might be the reality right now. Sazed is unsettled and unharmonious. He's allowed Scadrial to nearly be torn apart, and I believe he will continue to do so until someone moves to stop him, maybe even his own sword. I want to thank a couple of Reddit users for presenting this theory. We've linked a thread below if you want to read for yourself and make your own conclusions. With all of our research on the subject, the truth seems apparent to us. Harmony's sinister shadow is here to stay. Let us know what you think of the theory in the comments below, and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this in the future. Colo?